All right, welcome back to Amka Kenya. This is a continuation of the discussion that we were having with Michael Gwanda, who is a governance expert, just touching on the matters of education tied on the question of the day that we had asked you this morning. And before we went for that break, Michael was answering the question of where this entire fracas or fiasco puts parents. And the question of the day on your screen right now is how free and sustainable is education in Kenya? How free and sustainable is education in Kenya? Our WhatsApp line is open. X and Facebook is also open. Mr. Agwanda, you were telling us about where the place of parents is in this entire mess.
Let me start by saying that when President Clinton was once asked what he might have wanted to do in his life, he said that I would have loved to meet President Kibaki because he introduced free education and brought thousands of kids back to school. Free education entails going to school and not being sent away because you do not have a proper uniform. You do not have games kit. You do not have school fees. You do not have exam fee. You do not have development fee. And you do not have tour fee. You understand? All these things are the things that are bombarded with parents every single day. Oh, if you don't pay for tour fee to Mombasa, we'll send your child away, or it will not do exams. You understand this kind of thing? Now, free education entails you going to school and getting education. I had the privilege of studying in the U.S., and all you need was if you are within, an address, you simply walk to school. And once you walk to school, especially primary education, you simply walk to school, what they call middle school. Walk to school, and once you walk to school, they give you the bag, they give you the food, and you come back home. And if you don't, the social worker will come and look for you, and they could easily take the parent to court. What we are saying is the system that we are having in Kenya cannot be possibly defined as free primary education. It is being aided. The parents are aiding it because the parent pays a portion, the government puts a portion in it. The problem that we have is the parents is already putting their portion. The government is committed to putting their portion. They are not putting their portion on time, and most cases, there are even cases where money has been sent to school and part of that money has been sent back to the sender in itself. Now, in that case, that is not free primary education, and we really have to think of when we say free primary education, is it necessary? The first world, as you may call it, is no longer using uniform. Why must we send our children away because of uniform? When a child is going to secondary school, Theo, this is, I know you've not had a child to go to secondary school, as old enough to go to secondary school. Yeah. Before you pay the school fees, it's an average of about 40 to 80,000. Just the things they have to check. Oh, did you come with a mattress? Did you come with a bed sheet? Did you come with this? And did you come with this? And before you realize, oh, I need to pay school fees for 60,000 on average, but I've already spent 60,000. And remember, if you don't show up with those things, your child doesn't go to school. The question then you need to ask yourself is, what is free? Perhaps we need to know that the only thing that we think is free in education is where the teachers that the parents are not paying. But remember, the parents are also paying teachers on BOM. Okay, the board can say, we don't have enough teachers, so let's also pay for teachers because TSC has never employed enough teachers in this country. We just need to say the subsidies, but not free primary education. The question, therefore, that everybody's asking is who is right? I think President Ruto is doing politics, and that's what politicians do. Well, the technocrats are saying there seems to be no money. The schools must belt up and button up and realize with the parents that they are soon going to foot some of these things because they bring them and they see the reaction of the parents, and then after that, when they know that for sure we've not been sending money but these people have been surviving, they will start by reducing it as they've suggested. After that, the parents will foot the bill. I can tell you for free.
All right, the question of politics versus the truth being highlighted here by Michael Gwanda, governance expert with us in studio. That was one of the biggest story on the People Daily. Let's now take a look at other big stories on the Standard. We begin with the Standard this morning, the bold newspaper as they call it, and the biggest story on the Standard this morning is 4-day ordeal. It reads and says, The men who abducted activist Mwabili Mwagodi in Tanzania wanted to know why he was causing trouble in Kenya. Put your finger on that, Mr. Agwanda, this morning. They blindfolded, handcuffed, and drove him to a scene of torture. They stomped on his head and jabbed him with syringes. After the abuse, they dumped him across the border into the hands of another ruthless crew on the Kenyan side. Meanwhile, a Kenyan scholar in the United States has petitioned the United Nations to stop President Ruto from addressing the General Assembly in September, citing his worsening human rights record. This morning, Mr. Agwanda, we'd want to know, what do you have to say about this entire thing that happened to Mwabili Mwagodi?
Unfortunately, we cannot say that this is not a systemic strategy to silence the people, the critics of the government. I just want to say one thing, Theo. If you are elected in this country, you have to set yourself up to be insulted, to be abused, to be called names, and also to be checked on your policies and what you do. Whether you're an MCA, an MP, whether you're a senator or governor, whether you're president or any elected position, you cannot, for example, react and attack anybody that criticizes you or says things that they think they need to be done in a country like this. We are in a generation where everything is at the fingertip, pretty much, whether it's the budget, whether it's a policy that is taking place in government, whether it's a debate, whether you're performing in parliament or not. We cannot be seen to be attacking those people that are criticizing the government. Because in critics, if you look at it, it could have a bit of negative part of it, but it also has the positive part of it. If you want to look at the positive part of it, you have to look at the things that these people are saying and say, how can we govern our country on the basis of the electorate, how they elected us. But now, torturing people across East African borders is probably one of the most alarming things. And it just reminds me of 1982 coup, when we had, Captain Ongili running to Tanzania, and then they were, repatriated back into this country. And what happened to them is something that we don't even want to see. They were all killed and buried. If they were not repatriated in this country, perhaps they would still be alive today. Because 3-4 days ago, I met a gentleman that was flying with them and knew him very, very well. He didn't run to Tanzania, but he was in Kenya, and he was not hugely involved, but he lost his job, and he's still alive today. They could tell us the stories of what happened. They could have performed their time in jail, and today they will be telling even the young soldiers that this is not the right thing to do. We must condemn this planned, torture on free citizens of this country. We must condemn the murder. We must condemn, this heinous crime that is being perpetrated against the very people that really just want freedom for the people of this country. This is sad, and it is also absurd to those perpetrators of this act. And to anyone in this country, let's have a free country where you can criticize and you can also be listened to, but not to be targeted and to be killed and to be tortured in such a humane way, where somebody even loses his mind, cannot coherently speak. It is sad that we can put our citizens in this kind of situation.
Mr. Ogwanda, I do agree that it is truly sad, and I'd like to hear your perspective on this. Why does it then seem like these governments are fearless to do this, as if there's no repercussions to do this? From your perspective, why is that so?
I really don't think they're fearless. I just think that the government is not well coordinated, that there are some people that have been given responsibility, and sometimes they go beyond their boundary, constitutional boundary. For example, I saw yesterday when some politicians were being blocked from accessing their venue. And then you ask yourself, why are they being blocked? Was there a curfew? Was there a court order? What was it? Are these people working within the confines of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, or in their own volition? And I think that's where we are. We're in a place where so many people have so many instructions and that you don't know where the power power is coming from. And I think that is why we're having this kind of thing. I don't think President Ruto, in one way or the other, directed that Mogodi must be arrested in Tanzania, must be tortured, and be handed over into this country. There are people that are just goons within the system, in my view. And they have the power in their hand, and they think they're doing right by targeting people who are criticizing the government. And that's the most part that I honestly think is wrong.
Mr. Gwenda, as maybe we sum this up, do you think the government has a hand in it? Because there's actually a question that stands out. Mogodi says he was asked and questioned while in Tanzania that who is pushing them to go to the streets here in Kenya. So does this mean, Remy, the government has a hand in these abductions?
This is a question perhaps we may never know, whether the government has a hand or not. Or what we've seen in this country about the torture, the forceful disappearance, what we've seen about the murder of the young people that have been shot on the street, we cannot eliminate the government fully out of it. And I think the government has come out very clearly, and the president has said that we will stop this abduction that is taking place. Now, that confession in itself actually is a revelation that there was bit of the government involvement in this forceful disappearance and abduction that has been taking place. And remember, this is one thing that he said will stop. We don't want to see this again. Let's take the president by his word and ensure that we live in a free country where people can criticize government, where people can criticize individuals with boundaries, and then they're not targeted and tortured in this one.
Right. Okay, Michael, let's take a look at the Daily Nation. And we have on there, on the front page headline, it says exposed. Police killings cover up. And it says here, court proceedings on police killings during recent protests are exposing attempts to conceal incriminating evidence in a pattern that has played out in past trials. A judge once rebuked the blue code of silence, referring to a conspiracy within the police service to shield rogue colleagues. And that's on page 4 and 5. We also have headlines here that mention Ruto allies plot Mount Kenya comeback, and it says here president's loyalists held meetings at hotels in 3 counties on Saturday to refine a strategy to counter former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's influence in the region. And of course, among other headlines there that says police goons clash with opposition leaders, and big win for former NHIF staff as court settles pay dispute. And of course, at the top part of the page, it says the story which we just had highlighted, missing activist was tortured by his captors. So, Michael, let's take a look at Ruto allies plot Mount Kenya comeback, the political aspect. What is your take on this?
You know, this is personal. When Gachagua is out there and championing the Ruto one term, it's very clear that he doesn't have to be the president. Somebody else can, but Ruto has to go out. In fact, 2 days ago, he even said he wants Ruto to feel the pain that he felt when he was being outed out of the office.
That's
so
right.
It's really personal when you look at it, Remy.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a few people that are plotting a comeback, you will expect that, because that comes with money for mobilization. That comes with money for implementation. They align their pocket as much as they also say that they can deliver. The question is, how long will they pretend that they can deliver while they know very well that the mountain is gone? Now, Ruto is not a fool. This I can tell you for free. And Ruto knows politics. And for that reason, yes, he might not say, I am done with the mountain, completely done with the mountain. There are some few people that are in the government with them, and that they would love to see some few votes here and there. The strategy of Ruto is very, very simple. When an election comes, at least I want to get 100 out of maybe 300 or 400 or 1,000 in a polling station. That will make a difference. And that is what he did in Nyanza. That is what he did in Western in 2022 election. He doesn't need a lot of votes from that area. The only thing he needs now, and he didn't need a lot of votes from Nyanza or Western, because he knew those votes primarily will go to Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And so this is a strategy to go back. This is a 2022 strategy that says, look, I just need few votes in this place. Once I get those few votes, then I can go into my big basket voting area, and then with the little ones, I can be somewhere. Now, that's a strategy that works. And so he's rightfully doing the right thing for his votes. votes, not to get the entire mountain. And there could be some few sympathizers with them. However, this time round, it is not those few. It might be even little sympathizers out of these politicians that are lining themselves. The other strategy might be, let's use money. And Honorable Ruto is well lined up in his pocket. Let's use money so that we can give Theo here 5,000 to vote for me. If I would give 100 people 5,000, that might be just few hundreds of thousands. And for that reason, how about if we buy the votes? Not necessarily buying the vote, but that might also be a strategy so that we can get few people, give them quite a bit of money, and then make sure that they vote for us. And that is possible.
Mr. Agwenda, we've actually seen the former deputy president respond, and actually is of the same school of thought what you've just said, that this might be a strategy to buy votes from the Mount Kenya region. He actually posted it on his Facebook page. Maybe we'd also want to understand this morning with Ms. K and Remy here. Was the former deputy president underrated? Because it's like he caught these people by surprise, pants down. They didn't expect that he was going to command such a wave of influence in the country. No single day passes in the country without politicians mentioning the name of the former deputy president.
Well, remember that the former deputy president was a nobody. Other than being a former deputy president. And I can tell you for free, he bought his position as a deputy president. He paid so dearly for that position. That's a story for another day. But he bought his place there, okay? He paid more than the rest of the people.
In form of money or?
Oh, yeah, money involved in the campaign, definitely that was involved. Okay. So he bought his position there. When he bought his position there, he thought that he was equal with the president, and that was his biggest undoing, unfortunately.
Because of helping to fund the campaign.
Correct. And then he went overboard. The question you are asking is whether he was underrated or not. It is true that he was underrated, and it was not that he was underrated, yet he was above his rating at that particular point. No, it was where he was. In fact, recently he said, President Ruto has actually made us, me, Ndindi Nyoro, and he said it in public. He said without President Ruto giving us an opportunity, nobody would have known us 2 years ago. That's what he said. So he's actually, he knows that President Ruto is the one who has made them. Well, when he went to the hospital, and when he was hounded out of the office, and not just the mountain questioned his being hounded out of the office, the whole country questioned the hastiness in which he was being hounded out of the office. And everybody asked, other than the 10 points, I think there were 10 reasons that were taken to the Senate, the Kenyans were asking, what is the specific reason why you're sending this home? And we couldn't get that reason very, very well. Now, when he went to the hospital after that, and he said he was sick, and his wife cried, and the children were there, the women in the mountain said, is this our son or not? Is this how you want to treat our son or not? That actually made us vote for you. And Rigathi Gachagua might have not made the mountain vote for Ruto. The mountain vote had already decided to vote for Ruto, whether Gachagua was there or not. But when they felt that their son was being mistreated, when they felt that one of their own, Gachagua's wife, was now crying in the hospital, those tears is what sold away, the sympathy to a level you can never convince a mountain again that this is our son. And whatever reason it was, the way he was treated was wrong. And I can tell you for free, Theo, this was the biggest mistake this government ever made, to send Gachagua away. Because Ruto, if anything, I believe he did worse, if not worse, but he was much stronger in Uhuru government than we could even think of Gachagua.
Has the president lost the mountain, Mr. Agwenda, according to your own perspective or from where you see it? Is the mountain gone and gone for good?
The mountain is gone. There is no doubt about that. The mountain is gone. And whoever is cheating the president, the mountain is still existing, is really cheating the president. I like the other strategy that perhaps the president is coming up with. Let's try to appeal to few people that might have not gone with us, but the majority are gone. Again, the mountain is not 100%. The Kikuyus, for example, we have the Mberes, and we have all those other tribe sector. There could be some that might be sympathetic to the president still, but it depends on how they will be approached. And I think that is why we're seeing this political diplomacy starting and meetings being done in different counties. And I think that is where they want to get some few few votes. But by and large, the bigger majority in the mountain is gone.
And so, as we wrap this up, there's a strategy here that maybe that the tour in Mount Kenya is highlighting and saying that the President wing is dividing themselves into two groups. One of the groups will be led by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki alongside Kimani Ichung'wah and ICT CS William Kabogo, and the other one will be led by Mwangi Kiunjuri in Laikipia East. Before we cross over to Taifa Leo, is this strategy going to work, or according to you, this is just futility?
The approach that the Deputy President is making about empowerment of women will not work. Because you've seen a number of places where it comes from, and this bit of disquietness in it. Women saying, well, we did not get the money, we were so many, and this is what we were given, it amounts to really no difference, and things like that. And again, when you want to do an empowerment, it's not, a show, like you go into a stadium and start doing empowerment and give people money. That's just a show of mighty in money that you have, but it's not a strategy that can work. The small grouping ones, and those ones can appeal to people because you are getting one-on-one with people, and people are talking to you and telling you why they are not voting for you. And then you can tell them, can we resolve some of these issues? Because it will be one-on-one discussion that can make a huge difference. But when you go into a big forum and a stadium and all these things, that will not work.
All right. So that is Mr. Michael Egwanda on the stage of happenings in Mount Kenya. Ruto allies plot Mount Kenya comeback, and he says this is just efforts in futility. On Taifa Leo also, let's take a look at the biggest story on Taifa Leo this morning. It reads and says, Utekaji wavuka border. There's a picture of activists, quite a number of activists there. You can see there's Mwagodi, there's Boniface Kariuki, there's Agatha Atuhaire, and there's also Tanzania's opposition leader on the far left. There's also a story that we have highlighted this morning, and Mr. Michael Egwanda has really broken it down nicely for us. I understand, Ms. Kahero, you also have something on your end when it comes to matters entertainment on the dailies. Maybe before we take this break, Kahero, in 2 minutes, you can bring us up to speed.
Right. We have a story on People Daily on page 18, and it reads, why young creatives need a future free from piracy. And we have Leonard Agufa there, who is the head of Operations Support Multi-Choice Kenya, which is a platform that gives entertainment, movies, series, sports as well. He says that if we want a creative industry that is resilient, inclusive, and truly African, we must give our young people the freedom to create without fear. That means not only celebrating their talent, but protecting their work and standing up for their right to earn from it, because every stolen story is a silenced voice, and Africa cannot afford to lose another one. This comes after, creatives in Kenya, we have friends who are creatives. They make documentaries, short films, and then they get pirated because they do not understand the whole intellectual property concept. And you see, this frustrates them. They've created jobs for themselves, and then they end up not earning from it because of piracy. And such people like Leonard Agufa are calling out for, schools to teach about piracy and intellectual property to students in school, so that they know how to, create a good, source of living from their creations.
All right.
Yes.
Interesting sentiments when it comes to matters entertainment there from Ms. Kahiro. Right about now, we want to take our second break right here on Amka Kenya. All right, I'm being told we are still yet to take that break. We still have a minute. Maybe Mr. Michael Egwanda, before we take that break in under 1 minute, there's also a story that Remy highlighted. It's on the Daily Nation. Allow us just retract a little bit to the Daily Nation. It's the biggest heading on the Daily Nation that reads and says, exposed, police killings cover up. There has been concern about issues of police covering up their killings. There's actually one issue where we had police are shooting, and then they themselves go and remove the bullets from the protesters who are being shot. And there's also a disturbing report by IPOA that was released about the state of police conduct. Your thoughts on this in 1 minute as we finish this up?
I just want to say what Ms. Kate talked about in a second. Intellectual property is very, very key, and it is not being captured in this country. That is why we're losing a lot of creativity in this country. Really, the government need to come out with policies on intellectual property and start educating this young, creative people in town. But when you go to town, just for 1 second, when you go to town and I see all these young people on weekend, why can't we just make Nairobi a place to visit every weekend? And why can't we even have painters? Why can't we have all these creative guys, you know, clowns and stuff?